We had some decent momentum built up for the weekend, but didn't turn out the way we wanted to. Friday, I thought our guys did a good job. Coming off the Tuesday game, back into town and back out of town the next morning. We felt pretty good. Had Gunner in a good position in the 8th and the ninth. Actually came in the 7th with one out. Got those two outs. They cut into us in the 8th inning. Went back out in the ninth inning, still with a one-run lead, and he got a ground ball double play that we just didn't get turned over. And I think, that was a difference in the game right there. I thought we could have ended the game potentially there. And really the whole story was, throughout the year we've struggled to pitch after the 7th inning, but then we kind of quietened that down a little bit and had a couple weeks where we pitched good in the back end of the game, which we did at LSU on Tuesday. But this weekend, we just didn't pitch good enough on the back end of each game. I thought the starters in game 2 and 3 gave us a chance to win. Jack threw well again. Brandon threw well again. Both times we just let the game get away on the back end of the game. And that's kind of been our consistency throughout the year, especially with Bradford down with the UCL after Game 3, is being able to handle the back end of the game. We go there and we come back with nothing, and that hurts. But we got to move forward. We got to head to Southern Miss tomorrow. They're playing well. They're coming off a sweep this weekend, so that'll be a challenge for us. And then back here. And then get ready for Texas State. They're playing well. They've been able to one of the teams that can hit and pitch and play defense. And so when you can do all three, it makes you a good team. We're going to flip-flop our rotation. We finally can get it kind of set back up now. Brandon will go Friday, and Jack will move to Saturday. We'll put Perrin in the pen with us to help us, hopefully for the back end of some of these games, and then we'll leave Sunday as TBA, and we'll just see where we're at on Sunday. Questions you might have?
Well, y'all, it's been that yo-yo continuing to go. Is this any different, or was this weekend a little worse because of almost being that close to beating the first place team?
Well, I think the biggest thing that hurt was the momentum after we got dumped on Friday. You sitting there, you got a good lead, you got the right guy in the right place, you got everything set up properly, and then all of a sudden, he just doesn't pitch the way he's capable of pitching. And but that I think hurt us the most is that you've got everything set up properly. The hitters did a good job. We played good defense. I mean, you did everything you needed to do to win that game, but then we didn't finish it. And then we make, a critical error at the critical time of the game. And then all of a sudden you go back to bed kind of inconsistent again. And that hurts, because you come off 2 off 3 with South Al, and then you go into LSU. Yeah, it's a one midweek game, but you got something building. You got 3 wins, and you got some momentum. You got the back end of the bullpen, being calmer, because it has raised its head throughout the season with young pitchers and everything else, especially the weekends where, Gunner was out. We were skipping him. Weekends where Jack was not throwing for us, so that put even more duress onto the pitching staff. So that I think is the biggest thing that hurt us is just the momentum. We had momentum, and then it got taken from us. We used Armstrong and Lamont and Gunner to get to that point on Friday night, which kind of thinned us out a little bit for Saturday. And then all of a sudden Saturday, Brandon does come back and throw well enough to win. But again, we get a collapse in the back end of the game with the bullpen, and same thing again on Sunday and on Saturday. So that kind of, I think, was the biggest thing, was the momentum shift that we had going that we couldn't get back again. Especially we had it up to the 7th inning, but I think both days we just didn't pitch good enough at past the 7th inning.
Kind of reminded me of the Sam Houston series.
In a way, yeah. I mean, we could not pitch away from the 3-run inning. That's been the thing that's hurt us the most on the back end of the bullpen when we haven't pitched well, is we can't pitch away from the 3-run inning. And that's That's the big thing. If you look back and look at all the games that we let go, get away from us after the seventh inning, it's been basically one thing and one thing only: not being able to slow the game down and not be able to pitch away from the 3-run inning.
Obviously, it's about W's, so obviously that's what you want. But just given how you guys went toe-to-toe with the best team in the division, does it give you any confidence going into the Sun Belt Conference tournament down the line? Hey, we can beat these guys if we correct a couple things.
Well, I think if we stay on the script, I think we can beat anybody. I think we stayed on the script Tuesday against LSU. We stayed on the script against South Alabama twice. But if you look at the games we've lost, we've gotten away from the script. We've got to pitch. You got to play defense. And then you got to get timely hitting. And in the games that we've let get away from us, we've let them get away after the seventh inning. And that's what hurts because, you're right there. And, a play here, a pitch here. But then when the inning starts to spin out of control and we don't get off the field till we've given up 3 runs or 4 runs. And that's really the biggest thing that hurt us. So if we can keep trying to get that settled. We finally got Brandon now up to Friday. We finally got Jack up to Saturday. It's something we've been wanting to do for since we started the season almost, but with Brandon's handling of his shoulder and the knee injury that he had, we had to wait for him. So we finally got him going. Jack has taken a while to get going. And then, Gunnar came out as a starter, had to come back and get back in the pen. So we've had just so much turmoil in trying to get things settled down that every time you finally get something settled, something else cracks on us. But, it's one of those years. And what you've got to do in these things is, 1, try not to have a lot of them, and 2, walk through them. You got to stay grinding. And so by flipping it, we had to get Jack for a while before Jack was healthy. Then we got him healthy. Then he went down with that virus for 5 days. Then we hit the Easter week where we couldn't move him up because of the early week. So hopefully, with Perrin jumping in the pen with us for Friday and Saturday, and these 2 guys going out and starting, they've been very good for us. We haven't been good on Fridays without our All-American throwing on Fridays. And so it's led to a lot of issues because if you can win on Friday, that's the big momentum shift, I think, that hurt us this weekend, is that you get that one under your belt. Now they've lost the game. Now they got to worry about coming back. And now you've got 2 games to win 1 to come back with a 2 out of 3 on the road against one of the better teams in the conference. So that was the big momentum shift that I think hurt the most. On the other hand, in this profession, you got to put the past in the past and try to, focus on Southern Miss tomorrow, get back, have a good workout, and get ready for Texas State on the weekend.
You mentioned it a little bit earlier in terms of just obviously you guys hitting at home. So, and about the fact that Texas State hit coming into this weekend, they put up 16 runs in their first game over the past week. So, what do you guys need to do? Obviously, hopefully you don't have to score 15 runs to win, but what do you need to do to just really put some runs on the board at home?
Well, we've scored good, after the first half at home. So that part doesn't bother me too much. They're a team that can do more than just hit, so they're a good baseball team. They're doing what every team needs to do to be successful. You've got to pitch, and you got to play good defense, and you've got to get timely hitting. So what we'll have to do is it'll start with the starting pitching. We'll have to make sure that something we've taught for my whole 31 years is stay away from the 3-run inning. I mean, if you watch, that's what does you in is a 3-run inning. And so what we'll have to do is work to stay away from the 3-run inning. Our starters get us off to a good start. We got to play good defense and get timely hitting where we can get runs driven in. We scored enough runs to win on Friday. We just let the game get away on the back end with the bullpen, and we had a 4-3 lead on Friday. Let it get away after the 7th, and when we let games get away late, the biggest thing that hurts us is we let it get away with a 3-run inning. That's what you can't do.
Do you track the divisional standings, maybe not game to game, but week to week, and this team still has a chance to win it? Obviously, we need a little bit of help, but is that the goal? Are you trying to get maybe a top 4 seed, or what do you feel like is realistic?
Well, what we try to do is we set our goals in the front end of the season, and our goals always is to try to win 40 games first. Number two, win a conference championship, win a conference tournament championship, and get to a regional. That's our ultimate goal. I've done that for my whole time here. I just believe that if we're not in a regional, we've had a bad year. I mean, below our standard. So you still can get to a regional from time to time without winning a championship, which we've done in the past with the RPI. But as you get going and, with the injuries we've had, you've got to now refocus and get realigned with the realistic situation that we do have. We don't have Gunner as a starter. We've been up and down all year with injuries and hitting. Sometimes we hit, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we hit, but then we don't pitch. Sometimes we pitch, but then we don't pitch for 9 innings. So with that inconsistency, that's what we're really trying to fix, is some people to step up and help us be consistent, pitch away from the 3-run inning. And if we can solve those things, and I think these other things are realistic, but if you keep giving up, 3 and 4 and 5 runs in an inning, in the 7th or the 8th inning, you're not going to win anything. And we've got to just stay the course of trying to fix the things that we feel are inconsistent, because that's been our biggest issue, is trying to be consistent. And to win 40 games, you got to be consistent. To win a championship, you've got to be consistent. Now, a conference tournament championship, you can get hot in a couple days, and I've seen a lot of things happen, in conference tournaments. But at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is we're still trying to line this thing up, trying to hopefully continue to get Gunner back and see where he ends up, because that can definitely help us. If Brandon can take Friday and Jack take Saturday, and then we can try to shore up the bullpen. Some guys have to help us out of the bullpen, and then from there, I think we got to get to our conference tournament. I mean, that's your number one goal, and the bottom line is if you want a conference tournament championship, your name's coming up on Memorial Day. You don't have to sit around and hope it comes up. So, but to do that, we've got to plug up some holes in our inconsistencies to be able to do that. Well, he'll see how he feels, see how he recovers off of this as the week bears on. And then he won't be ready to start yet this weekend, but he'll see now how the recovery comes from this weekend. And then we'll see what this weekend will do as he recovers deeper into the week.
What's the main thing you're trying to get out of moving the rotation like you mentioned last week?
Well, the big thing we're trying to do is both those guys have pitched well and consistent. So we also feel that, we need to try to win on Friday night. If you can win on Friday night, you have 2 to win 1 to get to 2 out of 3. And we haven't been able to do that. We haven't been consistent. So we want to just try to move up to 2 guys that are throwing the best, and then dump Perrin in the pen with us to help us. And then we'll see where Sunday comes. If we can get through Friday and Saturday, then we'll see who matches up the best on Sunday against them. But we are thin because, Gunner was going to be potentially our Friday night starter, and Brandon Saturday and Jack Sunday. And without Gunner, we're just trying to move it up. We'd have done that earlier, but we really couldn't with the injuries that we had, and Jack being sick and everything else, and with his arm. But now they've been able to come out and pitch with some consistency, and because the week was moved up a day, they get that extra day's rest in now to where we can try to get them back on Friday and Saturday.
They will pitch better than their line showed.
Yes, definitely. I think if they pitch good enough for us to win. Sometimes we have to let the starters stay in a little longer than maybe we normally want to because of the bullpen, and I think that is some issues. Guys get up to the 89, 90 pitch mark, and you'd like to sometimes get them out of the game and let the bullpen take over. But on Friday night, we had to use Armstrong, and we had to use Lamont and Gunner, so we were a lot thinner. So sometimes, Brandon's had to pitch in the 100s. A couple starts. Jack has hit the high 90s where you'd like to try to get bullpen in from that point on. But the biggest challenge is we've had some inconsistencies out of the bullpen, so sometimes you got to leave them in a little longer than expected.
So Gunner's rough outings, his line, was that a setback at all in the mission to make him a starter, or not really?
No, I mean, everybody expects Gunner to be perfect. And, same thing when Demo was at his prime. Everybody just assumed it was over. I mean, I think anybody listening to that game, us in the dugout, 4-run lead with Gunner in with 6 outs to go, if everybody had to bet, we'd all lost a lot of money. So I just think, he's been so good and so consistent for so long that people just assume that everything's going to be okay. And sometimes guys can have a hiccup, But the veteran in him hung in there with the 1-run lead, and he induced the ground ball double play to end the game. We just didn't get the double play turned over. So if he pitches a little better and, we turn that double play, we got game 1 under our belt, and then probably none of this is discussed too much. But you take an inconsistent season like we've had, where we've not pitched well out of the back end of the bullpen, and then you blow a 4-run lead on the back end of a game, then it just piles on to the inconsistencies throughout this season. And so it's frustrating, but what you have to do is try to, change something up. We're going to get those starters lined back up, Brandon on Friday and Jack, and see how that'll help us. Texas State is a good team, but so was UTA. And we if we just pitch better in the back end of those games and turn a couple double plays, I think we got 2 out of 3. But they don't credit you, anything unless you win. So we just need to try to get back on track with Southern Miss tomorrow, and then back in here and ready to go against Texas State.
How does the Southern Miss series compare to maybe some of the other Miss games that you play against other teams in Louisiana? Is it comparable in terms of the rivalry?
Southern Miss always is a good baseball team, and we feel we are. We are in a tough season this year. Everybody goes through some tough seasons. You want to try to minimize them to the best of your ability, but they're always a tough team. The crowd over there is always tough. So we've always liked going there because it's a good series. They fight to try to keep their RPI up. So normally each year, scheduling is sometimes 2-3 years out. So you got to try to make sure that when you do schedule people, you got somebody that you think is going to have a good RPI, and they do a good job over there. So, and it's realistic, driving distance for us. So it's a good series. We enjoy playing them. They want to stay playing us, and we like it because it's 2 good programs. That's got some history. And so it'll be a tough game. It's a midweek game, but it'll be a tough game. They're playing well. They're playing better since they left us, and we're coming off a tough weekend. So we're gonna have to sew ourselves up and get back out after it tomorrow.